The wedding hall glowed like a dream. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, each one catching the light and throwing it across polished marble floors. Soft music played in the background, blending with the sound of laughter, clinking glasses, and confident voices. This was not an ordinary wedding. This was the kind of wedding people talked about for years. Every guest looked important. Designer suits. Diamond necklaces. Watches that cost more than most people's cars. The air itself felt expensive. And yet, standing quietly near the service entrance, almost invisible to everyone else, was a man named Adam. Adam was one of the caterers. He wore a plain black uniform, clean but clearly old. His shoes were polished, though worn from years of standing. His hair was neatly combed. His posture was straight. Adam moved carefully, respectfully, as if trying not to take up too much space. He didn't belong to their world. At least, that's what everyone assumed. Adam checked the food trays one last time, adjusted a fork that was slightly out of place, and nodded to a younger staff member who looked nervous. "Take your time," Adam said quietly. "Details matter." The young worker smiled, unaware that Adam was once the owner of a catering company himself. Across the room, a group of wealthy guests had already noticed him. One woman leaned toward her friend and whispered, loud enough to be heard. "Is that the caterer?" Her friend looked Adam up and down and smirked. "He looks out of place." They laughed softly, covering their mouths with manicured hands. Another man joined in. "Who lets people like that serve food at a wedding like this?" Adam heard them. He always did. But he didn't respond. He had learned long ago that silence was sometimes safer than dignity defended. He picked up a silver tray filled with expensive hors d'oeuvres and began walking toward the main tables. Each step was careful. Each breath controlled. As Adam approached the table of the laughing guests, one of the men leaned back suddenly, pushing his chair out. The chair hit Adam's leg. The tray tilted. Time seemed to slow. Plates slid. Glasses tipped. Food spilled. Then. Crash. Porcelain shattered against marble. The sound echoed through the hall. For a brief moment, everything went silent. Then laughter erupted. "Oh wow," the man said, pretending to be surprised. "Careful there." Another guest laughed loudly. Those plates cost more than his monthly salary. Adam stood frozen for half a second. Then he knelt down. Slowly. Quietly. He began picking up the broken pieces. "I'm sorry," he said softly, though no one had apologized to him. Someone scoffed. "Be more careful next time. This isn't a cheap place." Adam's hands trembled slightly as he gathered the shards. A small cut formed on his finger, a thin line of red appearing against his skin. He didn't notice. Or maybe he did, and simply didn't care. Across the room, the bride, Emma, had seen everything. Her smile faded. She leaned toward the groom, Daniel, and whispered. "Did you see what just happened?" Daniel's jaw tightened. "Yes," he said quietly. But he didn't move. Not yet. Adam returned to the service area, his face calm, his heart heavy. One of the junior staff whispered. "That wasn't your fault." Adam nodded. "It's okay," he said. "Let's keep working." But as he spoke, memories began to surface, memories he had buried deep. Years ago, Adam had stood in a very different place. Back then, he owned a small catering business. Nothing luxurious, but honest. He cooked real food, served real people, and took pride in his work. Then life happened. A business partner betrayed him. A lawsuit followed. Medical bills piled up. One bad decision turned into many. Before Adam realized what was happening, his business collapsed. His savings disappeared. His home was gone. He found himself standing in the back of his own former kitchen, now owned by someone else, wondering how everything had slipped through his fingers. That was when Daniel entered his life. Daniel was young, thin, hungry. He used to come by the kitchen late at night, asking if there were leftovers. Adam never turned him away. "Sit," Adam would say. "Eat." Night after night, Daniel came back. Eventually, Adam asked, "Why don't you go home?" Daniel looked down. "I don't have one." Adam didn't ask questions. He gave Daniel food. Then work. Then something more valuable, guidance. He helped Daniel enroll in night classes. Taught him discipline. Showed him how business really worked. When Adam finally lost everything, Daniel was already on his way up. And when Daniel succeeded, Adam stepped back. He never told his story. Never asked for help. Never wanted recognition. Now, years later, Adam stood invisible at Daniel's wedding. Back in the hall, the insults continued. A woman waved her hand impatiently. "Caterer," she called. "Is this food even fresh?" Adam approached calmly. "Yes, ma'am," he replied respectfully. She rolled her eyes. "Well, if something goes wrong, don't expect a tip." Someone else laughed. That was when the music stopped. The DJ froze mid-track. Conversations cut off. All eyes turned toward the groom. Daniel had stood up. He adjusted his jacket slowly, deliberately, and walked to the center of the hall. He took the microphone. "I need everyone's attention," Daniel said. Smiles spread across faces. People assumed this was a romantic speech. Daniel paused. Then he looked directly at Adam. And began walking toward him. The room filled with whispers. "What's happening? Is that the caterer? Why is he going over there?" Daniel stopped in front of Adam. Adam looked confused. "Sir." Daniel placed a hand on Adam's shoulder. The room gasped. "This wedding," Daniel said calmly, "is paused." Silence fell like a heavy curtain. "I've watched something happen today that I cannot ignore." Daniel turned to the guests. "You laughed at a man because of his job." He paused. "You judged him by his clothes. His role. His silence." Daniel's voice trembled slightly, but not with fear. With gratitude. "This man fed me when I was homeless." The hall froze. "He paid for my education when I couldn't afford food." Emma stepped forward, tears in her eyes. "He believed in me when everyone else had given up." Adam tried to speak. "Daniel, please." Daniel shook his head gently. "No. Today, you don't hide." Daniel faced the guests again. "The company that made me wealthy," he said. "It exists because of him." The guests who had laughed earlier avoided eye contact. Daniel continued. "If anyone here thinks this man is beneath them." His voice firm. "You are free to leave. No shouting. No insults. Just truth." Chairs scraped against the floor. A few guests stood up quietly and walked out. Others stayed, their faces filled with shame. Emma took Adam's hands. "Anyone who disrespects him," she said softly, "is not welcome here." Daniel guided Adam toward the front table. "You're not staff today," Daniel said. "You're family." The room erupted, not with laughter, but with applause. Adam sat down, overwhelmed. For the first time in years, he felt seen. The wedding resumed. But something had changed. The lights were the same. The decorations unchanged. But the atmosphere was different. This was no longer just a celebration of love. It was a lesson. That wealth does not equal worth. That kindness builds empires. That silence can hide greatness. And that the people you look down on today may be the reason someone stands tall tomorrow. Never insult someone for their job. Because you never know whose sacrifice built the world you're celebrating in.